Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And the AmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. New era, old solution. Catholic schools will be shutting down in Philadelphia by the dozens, now that Archbishop Chaput is approving a plan that will severely diminish Catholic educational influence in the city. While several news sources are calling this decision the end of an era, NBC Philadelphia reports the Archdiocese currently has 178 schools serving about 68,000 students, representing a drop in enrollment of 35% since 2001. 4 Catholic high schools will close, while 44 primary schools will be either closed themselves or merge with other schools. Archbishop Charles J. Chaput of the Archdiocese criticizes what he calls nostalgia of the past, saying that it's a, quote, bad foundation in trying to think clearly and build for the future. He goes on to say it is not enough for Catholic education to survive, that it needs to grow, according to Catholic News Agency. The Recanting Cardinal. Chicago's Cardinal Francis George is sympathizing with homosexual activists, apologizing for his recent remarks comparing homosexuality to the Ku Klux Klan, or the KKK. You may remember George's remarks were made in response to organizers of the Gay Pride Parade in the Windy City, who ignored that Sunday masses would have to be canceled at churches along the route because of the commotion the parade would cause. His previous remarks directly compared persecution of Catholics by the KKK in the 40s to the way LGBT activists are treating Catholics in today's society. According to the Chicago Tribune, Cardinal George says, quote, "We all have friends or family members who are gay and lesbian. This has evidently wounded a good number of people. I have family members myself who are gay and lesbian," end quote. His sympathies do not take into account the numerous attacks covered by mainstream media sources in 2011 alone by homosexual activists targeting Catholics and other Christian organizations all over the world, sometimes even resorting to violence. 2 new American Cardinals. Pope Benedict XVI has bestowed the honor of cardinal on 2 American archbishops among his 22 newly ordained princes of the Church. One of the 2 is Archbishop Timothy Dolan of New York, receiving this latest honor on the heels of the legalization of homosexual marriage in the state, which took place on his watch. Most of his predecessors in New York have been cardinals, and Dolan says he is, quote, honored, humbled, and grateful, and that even though he only ever wanted to be a parish priest, quote, to think that now the Pope has named me a cardinal, that's awesome, end quote. The Vatican says the other American elevated to the honor of cardinal is former Archbishop Edwin O'Brien of the Archdiocese of Baltimore. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Promoting pedophilia. The Dutch government is supporting the practice of pedophilia by funding a homosexual rights advocacy group through the European Union. LifeSite News reports that after investigating the funding structure of the International Gay and Lesbian Association, or the IGLA, European human rights lawyer J.C. von Krempik discovered routine funding comes from the European Union's European Commission, and particularly the Dutch government. The IGLA was routinely denied accreditation as a non-governmental organization within the UN for years because of its support for pedophilia, until the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, led by European countries, forced approval of the group. While the United Kingdom and America are taking steps to revoke their foreign aid to countries that do not openly support homosexual culture, it should come as no surprise that the European Union is funding such an organization, even one that supports pedophilia. Advocates of legalizing pedophilia met in Maryland last year to discuss a strategy for legalizing it, beginning with the removal of pedophilia from the American Psychological Association's list of mental disorders. You can read more about this organization and its funding on our resource page just by clicking on the link right outside the screen. And finally, Filipinos fear terror attack. A potential terrorist attack on a Catholic procession in Manila has police there on their guard, looking for suspects. President Benigno Aquino III addressed the nation in what the Washington Post says was a hastily called press conference to inform the public of the threat to the annual event, which is expected to draw crowds of 8 or 9 million people marching through the nation's capital. A decision by the government to cancel the procession of the centuries-old image of Christ known as the Black Nazarene would be unprecedented, and the event is still on in spite of what the president is calling the, quote, heightened risk of a terrorist attack. It is currently believed that between 6 and 9 individuals may be involved in the plot, while the Associated Press reports that among the suspects involved is a Muslim terrorist organization called Abu Sayyaf, also responsible for previous vicious attacks in the Philippines. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. And be sure to check out The Vortex, where Michael has the official response from St. Michael's Media to the latest press releases from the Archdiocese of Detroit. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us, and as always, God bless you.